Hey, welcome. Today we are going to dive into an idea that is so big it might just flip the way you see, well, everything. We're going to unpack some really fascinating stuff that suggests we might have this whole life and death thing completely backwards.
So let's just start with this one massive question. What if this life, the one you're living this very second, isn't the beginning at all? What if it's actually an afterlife we're already in and we just don't realize it? It's a pretty wild thought for sure, but it's an idea that echoes all throughout history. So the theory basically goes like this. Our existence right now isn't the main event. It's an intermediate state. You could think of it as a Bardo, or a crossing over place, a super sophisticated, almost dreamlike reality that we're all trying to figure out. This completely reframes our world as a kind of transition, not the final destination.
And here's where it gets really relatable, because the theory connects to feelings I bet we've all had. You know that dreamlike quality your memories can have? Or how time seems to just speed up the older you get? Or that really weird feeling like you're just an observer watching your own life play out? Maybe even that deep, aching homesickness for a place you can't even name? The idea is that these aren't just weird quirks of being human. They're symptoms, little clues that we're already in that in-between place.
Okay, section 1 echoes in ancient wisdom. It turns out this idea is not new. Not at all. It's like we found an old map for this world we're in, one that ancient cultures already tried to draw for us.
First, you've got the Tibetan concept of the Bardo. Now, usually we think of it as a state between lives. But if you read the texts, they talk about consciousness wandering through these confusing, dreamlike realities, trying to grab onto solid objects, but their hands just pass right through. And then you think, quantum physics literally tells us we never actually touch anything solid. It's all just force fields pushing against each other. All of a sudden, that ancient description sounds shockingly familiar, doesn't it?
And the ancient Egyptians had a very similar idea called the Duat. But here's the crucial part. They didn't see it as a place you go after you die. For them, it was the realm we navigate between states of true reality. There's even an inscription in a pharaoh's tomb that says, "The living walk in shadows of the true world, believing darkness to be light." For them, our physical world was the shadow realm.
This idea also pops up with the Gnostics. I mean, this quote from the Gospel of Philip is just breathtakingly direct. It's not talking about a physical resurrection after you die. It's describing a mental awakening, a resurrection of your awareness while you are alive. The implication is huge. If you don't wake up here and now, you kind of miss the whole point of the experience.
All right, section 2, science rediscovers the map. Now, this is where it gets truly mind-bending, because modern science, in modern labs, is starting to validate these ancient truths. Cutting-edge research is independently reaching conclusions that sound an awful lot like those old maps.
We all know Plato's Allegory of the cave, right? Prisoners chained up, watching shadows, thinking that's reality. But what if it wasn't just a clever metaphor? What if Plato was giving a literal, almost technical description of how we perceive the world? This idea that we're mistaking projections for the real deal is now being taken very seriously by science.
And here's the direct connection. Check this out. On the left, you have Plato's ancient idea. And on the right, you've got cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman's modern interface theory. Hoffman has basically shown with math that evolution did not shape us to see reality as it is. It shaped us to see a simplified user interface, like the icons on your computer desktop. We see useful fictions that help us survive, not objective truth. We are the users, staring at the screen, mistaking the icons for what's really going on inside the computer.
And just when you think it can't get any weirder, it does. According to neuroscientist David Eagleman, your conscious awareness of what you call the present moment is actually a reconstruction of the recent past. It takes about half a second, 500 milliseconds, for your brain to gather all the sensory data, edit out the glitches, and then serve you the seamless experience of now. Which means, the present moment you think you're living in, it's already happened. You're watching a replay.
And this pattern is showing up in so many different fields. In quantum physics, reality itself seems to wait for us to observe it before it becomes real. We're participants, not just observers. Neuroscience tells us we see a simplified icon of the world, and psychology shows us, through things like inattentional blindness, that our reality is literally rendered on demand. Your brain only bothers to construct what you're focusing on.
Or look at the actual data from Dr. Pim van Lommel's huge study on cardiac arrest survivors.
You'd expect some cognitive decline after the brain is deprived of oxygen, right? Well, he found that patients who reported near-death experiences, or NDEs, actually showed enhanced cognitive function years later. That's the exact opposite of what you'd predict. It suggests that consciousness not only continues during clinical death, but can somehow even benefit from it.
Okay, so if our reality is a constructed intermediate state, that leads to the biggest question of all: why? Why would this be the case? Let's dive into Section 3, the purpose of forgetting. The idea here is that this is all part of a curriculum for consciousness.
This is the central mystery, isn't it? If at our core we are some kind of unlimited consciousness, why on earth would we choose this experience? An experience filled with limits, confusion, and a lot of the time, very real pain. Well, the answer seems to be, you can't build muscle in zero gravity. You need resistance. You need something to push against.
You know Joseph Campbell's universal monomyth, the hero's journey? It might not just be a great template for telling stories. It could be the literal blueprint for how consciousness develops. We leave a state of unlimited awareness. We enter this reality behind a veil of forgetfulness. We face all these earthly challenges to gain wisdom, and hopefully we return transformed by it all.
And when you look at it that way, this reality seems perfectly designed to create qualities that would be impossible to develop otherwise. You can't have courage without feeling real risk. You can't develop empathy without the illusion that we're all separate beings. And authentic love? That's only possible in a world where nothing is guaranteed. The limitation itself is the training ground.
So if we're in the school, this curriculum, how do we become a more aware student? Section 4 is all about waking up inside the dream. Let's get practical and look at a few ways we can start to pierce that veil.
Just look at this direct comparison between what people can do in lucid dreams and what's described in afterlife texts. In lucid dreams, you can fly, change your environment, talk to people telepathically, all just by using your intention. And those are the exact same abilities people report from the Bardo or during NDEs. It really makes you wonder if lucid dreaming is a kind of practice mode for navigating other states of consciousness.
So here's a simple toolkit you can start using. First, presence. Really anchor yourself in the now to step outside that illusion of linear time. Second, reality checks. Throughout your day, genuinely stop and ask yourself, am I dreaming right now? This builds the muscle of lucidity. Third, cultivate observer awareness. Just notice that silent, unchanging part of you that's witnessing your thoughts. And finally, selfless service, which is maybe the most powerful way to actively dissolve that illusion that we're all separate.
Okay, let's bring all this back home. Section 5, living the curriculum. Because the goal isn't to escape this reality, it's to engage with it more fully, more consciously. Your final exam is just your daily life.
Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who spent her entire career with people who are dying, found something amazing. She said that in their final moments, people don't talk about their jobs or how much money they made. They talk about love given and received, moments of genuine connection. That gives us a pretty massive clue about what this curriculum actually values. The coursework is all about how we treat each other.
And that leads to this incredibly powerful shift in perspective. Instead of seeing our struggles as just random suffering and asking, why is this happening to me? We can start to see them as lessons and ask, what is this trying to teach me? That simple change turns every challenge from a burden into an opportunity.
And that's what this all boils down to. This brings it all back to you. If this life truly is a curriculum, a school for the soul, then really, the only question that matters is the one on this slide. Looking at your own life, your unique challenges, your relationships. What is it all trying to teach you? Thank you so much for exploring this with me.